As soon as Ranvir arrived, Mahi and Ruhi quickly got into the car. As soon as Ruhi got into the car, she said, "Brother, I want to eat ice cream. Let's go." Mahi also supported Ruhi. Both of them started insisting on Ranvir, so Ranvir said, "Okay, brother. Let's go to eat ice cream." In a short while, all three were sitting in the ice cream parlor. In that ice cream parlor, there were separate private cabins, where both Mahi and Ruhi were enjoying their ice cream, while Ranvir was checking his mail on his phone. In between, Ranvir was also looking at Mahi. While eating ice cream, he was getting very cute expressions on his face, which made Ranvir smile. Ruhi quickly finished her ice cream and said to Ranvir, "Brother, I will get chocolate." Saying this, she quickly got up and started going out. So Mahi said while eating ice cream, "Ruhi, wait for me too. I am also coming." Saying this, as soon as she started getting up, Ranvir held her hand and asked her to sit back. "Ruhi will get it. You sit." Then he signaled Ruhi to go. Ruhi said yes and went to get chocolate. Ranvir also wanted to spend some time alone with Mahi. Mahi again started focusing on her ice cream. And Ranvir started looking at her lovingly. When Mahi saw Ranvir looking at herself like this, she said, "Do you also want to eat ice cream? I won't give mine. You get another one." Then she said while eating ice cream, "I don't share my ice cream with anyone." Saying this, Mahi bought her ice cream like a little girl. Seeing Mahi's action, Ranvir smiled and said, "Darling, I will taste this ice cream now." Saying this, Ranvir got up from his place and started bowing on Mahi's chair. Mahi opened her eyes and started looking at him. Before Mahi could understand anything, Ranvir bowed on her face and tasted the ice cream around her lips. And after a while, he kissed Mahi on her lips and came back to his place. Mahi was still frozen. Then she came back to her senses with the sound of Ruhi. Then she saw that Ruhi had brought a good stock of chocolate. Mahi had still finished her ice cream. Then Ranvir said, "Shall we go now or do you want to buy something else?" Ruhi said quickly, "No brother, let's go home now." Saying this, she started going out. Mahi also got up from her place to go. Then Ranvir grabbed her by the waist and brought her closer. Then he looked at her with a mischievous smile and said, "By the way, the ice cream was very good." Saying this, she winked one eye and came out holding his hand. Here in the jungle, Vedant was opening the bonnet of his car and checking something. And Priya was standing next to him and watching. From Priya's face, her problem was clearly visible. She placed her hand on her waist and said, "Vedant, how long will it take? It's almost evening." Vedant looked at her once and again said while checking the engine of the car, "I am watching. Can't you stand quietly for a while?" When Vedant said this, Priya turned her face and looked at the other side. But she had been standing there for a long time. That's why Priya was worried that they might get stuck in this jungle. Because it was going to be night now. Then Vedant closed the bonnet of the car and said, "This is not right now." Hearing Vedant's words, Priya's problems increased even more. She was now getting angry at Vedant. She said to Vedant, "Who told you to come here? Now we are in trouble. How will we go home now?" Saying this, she sat on the ground and started crying. "My mother will not leave me. I will have to take her scolding." Vedant looked at her with strange eyes and said, "This girl and her drama." Then Vedant held her by the arm and stood up. He scolded her and said, "Are you mad? Why are you sitting on the ground and crying? When I have brought you here, I will only take you home safely." Priya looked around and said, "It's getting dark now. What if an animal attacks us?" Her fear was clearly visible on Priya's face. Vedant could clearly see that Priya was very scared at that time. That's why he filled Priya's face with his palms and said, "Relax, I am here. Let someone else touch my prey." At that time, Vedant had a different thought in his mind. When Priya heard Vedant's words, she suddenly said, "Your prey? What do you mean by that?" Vedant also said with a smile, "Oh, I was just kidding. Come on, we have to go back to the farmhouse. Because another car will come there for us." Vedant held Priya's hand and started taking her with him. They reached there in 15 minutes. Vedant reached there and messaged someone to send the car. Both were sitting in the hall. Priya's mind was thinking, what will she say to her mother? Vedant was sitting on the sofa in front of her and looking at his phone. And then he saw Priya. He got a bitter smile on his face. He put his phone on his ear and went a little far. Then he said on the phone, "I have found my prey for tonight. Nuts look very tasty too. I will enjoy it." When Vedant's voice went into Priya's ear, she became alert and started listening to him. After listening to Vedant, she said, "The prey? Tasty? Will enjoy? What is he saying? Is he talking about me?" Thinking this, Priya's eyes widened. Vedant was noticing Priya's expressions with his sharp eyes. He said, "This is my favorite prey of all. I have been watching it for a long time. But today I got a chance. It's time to have some fun." He kept his phone in his pocket. After listening to Vedant, Priya got up from the sofa and stood behind the sofa. Vedant turned towards her and started walking towards her with a devil's smile. "What happened, baby? Come on, come to me." Vedant extended his hand and said. Priya went back and said, "What prey were you talking about?" Vedant said with a dangerous smile, "Do you see anyone else here? No, right? Then of course, I was talking about you." Then he said like a psycho, "I have hunted many girls till now. I did one yesterday. But you are different. You took a lot of time. You also look very delicious." Saying this, he came very close to Priya. Priya was behind the wall and Vedant had blocked her way by placing his hand on both sides. Priya's face started sweating. She started seeing drops of blood. She said, "Delicious? What do you mean? Do you want to eat me?" Vedant bowed to her neck and said, "No, I will not eat you. But I will quench my thirst with your blood." After listening to Vedant, Priya's eyes widened. And she said, "Are you a vampire?" Vedant smelled her body and said, "Yes, baby, I am a vampire. And today I will quench my thirst with your blood. But before that, I want to enjoy with you a little." Priya pushed Vedant hard and ran away from there. She pointed her finger at him and said, "Don't fool me. You want to scare me, right?" Vedant put his hand in his pocket and said to her with a sad smile, "What? What did you think? Why did I bring you to the farmhouse in this dense forest? Because I bring my prey here every night. Every night I crave for the blood of a young girl. And if you still have doubts, then come to me. I will clear all your doubts." Saying this, he called Priya to him with the gesture of his hand. Priya ran away to a room. She closed the door from inside, bowed her head and stood up. She folded her hands and started praying to God. "Oh God, where did you trap me with this Dracula? He has become a vampire." On the other side, in the basement of RK Villa, in the secret room, he was sitting in front of the screen. Behind him, his security head Shera was standing with his hands tied. There was a video conference going on the screen, in which the big mafias of many countries were discussing something with Ranvir. Ranvir was sitting like a king on the sofa in front of him. His face was completely expressionless, but his attitude was clear from his eyes. Among the people sitting in front, a person was a little angry, who was a big mafia of Italy. Alex, who had tried to provoke Ranvir many times. Ranvir had a reputation in the entire mafia world, which he had achieved in a very short time. Because of this, Alex's pressure in Italy had reduced a lot. He used to vent his anger often on time. He joined today's conference so that he could instigate Ranvir. But every person sitting there, thinking about his fate, was regretting. They all knew Ranvir's anger very well. From Alex's reaction, a ruthless smile came on Ranvir's face. Seeing this, sweat began to fall on the face of every person connected to the video call. Ranvir was looking at Alex. Then he said in his heavy and frightening voice, "See you soon, Alex." Saying this, he pressed a button and stood up from the sofa. Then he put on his coat and looked at Shera. Shera was recognized by Ranvir's eyes what Ranvir wants to say. He bowed his head and said, "Sir, I'll get the jet ready now." Ranvir nodded and left from there. Shera had been working with Ranvir for the last 5 years. That's why he could understand Ranvir's gesture what he wanted to say. On the other hand, Mahi was studying in her room after dinner. She kept studying for a long time. At the same time, she was waiting for Ranvir to come. She saw the time, it was 2 o'clock at night. Before that, she had got a call from Ranvir many times. But every time his phone was not reachable. Ranvir could have messaged me once and told me that when will he come. Mahi got irritated and said. Then Mahi sat down from the bed and started waiting for him. Ranvir used to come home late many times for work. That's why Mahi thought that he might be stuck in some work today. She sat down from the bed and started waiting for him. And just like that, she went to sleep. On the other hand, Priya got scared of Vedant in the farmhouse and entered a room. After that, Vedant knocked on the door and said, "Baby, open the door. Look, there is no use. No one can save you from me today." When Priya heard Vedant's voice, she moved away from the door and screamed and said, "You Dracula, if you wanted to drink blood, you could have taken it from the blood bank. Why me? Anyway, there is only 1 bottle of blood in my body. If you drink that too, will I drink your blood and stay alive?" After hearing this, Vedant was laughing a lot. Will Ranvir go somewhere without telling him many times? Will Mahi have any doubt in her mind? Will Mahi ever find out that Ranvir is the underworld king? Will Priya accept Vedant? To know more, keep listening to Oh Baby, only on Love Pulse Diaries.